which was around what is the scope, whether or not it was a comms, whether a comms piece would be.
Do they have to be programs and services, or can it be a communications campaign?
Yep, so the question's around, does it have to be programs and services, or does it have to be a communications campaign? As long as you can meet all of the criteria that was set out, noting that we need you to participate in the community practice meetings, contribute to the evaluation and the comms strategy, you can do that as a communications agency, then that's okay. You could partner with another organisation to assist in leading this, because you also need to engage with your community or your group in an ongoing way. So it would depend on internal capacity. Yeah.
Yes, so communications pieces, I think, would fit well for this project, but as long as it aligns with the framework in that it's about targeting the factors that influence drinking. So, for example, if someone wanted to run a broad-scale campaign to raise people's knowledge and awareness of low-risk drinking guidelines, probably not, because that's a very individual-focused piece. So, but I'd say that communications activities are part of it. Obviously, something that's multi-strategy might be viewed more favourably in an assessment panel, but it does depend on the proposal.
You say multi-strategy.
So when I say multi-strategy, I mean that there may be some programmatic efforts, there may be some communication efforts, there may be some policy efforts, but that's not hard and fast. I think that we've seen some examples of culture change projects internationally and in Australia that are very strong communications pieces. So I think the answer to that is yes, it doesn't have to be a service or a program on the ground necessarily, but you just need to make sure that it's very tailored and targeted and it aligns with what we're trying to seek to change in the framework.
And I guess building on that, if that is the case, that results and evaluation piece, we're cognizant, we know what we're good at and what we like doing, and we may not be as, like the vast end of town who has evaluation as part of their communications portfolio services. I'm wondering, when it comes to that evaluation results piece, is it worth us trying to cobble something together, or would it not be, would the efficacy not be in co-designing what that looks like with the Trove, for example, in terms of things that might be measured and working with them? I'm wary of trying to put something together that's not going to be fit for purpose when you've got this resource there already, and sort of saying, look, we'll work with them. These are the categories or channels that may suggest the success of this campaign, but ideally you have to work with your evaluation. Does that make any sense? We don't want our egos writing checks up on these kind of cash.
Yeah, so the question was around should applicants focus too much on the evaluation aspect, given that we have an overarching evaluator in La Trobe. So La Trobe's role is really to do the overarching evaluation. So they will develop broad indicators that we expect will be collected across all the projects, and obviously projects will have additional indicators that they want to capture from a project-specific purpose. La Trobe will be able to provide some capacity around, for example, program logic, provide support in the indicators, but there is an expectation that applicants will be doing their own field work and data collection. So that's where in the local council round we actually did require people to have a research partner to provide some of that capacity. So we still would be looking for some demonstration that applicants have a real understanding of what the things are they're trying to achieve and how they will measure that.
Those research partners, have you got a list of people you prefer to work with, that we can contact, and I guess to vote?
So the question is, do we have a list of preferred research partners that people might want to reach out to? We do have a list of research partners or agencies that in our previous funding round said that they would be happy to be approached by people, so Jim can make that available.
And then it would be acting as a consortium then, I guess, for the concept that we come to you with.
Yes, so you'd be coming together as a team, so you may subcontract a research expertise into your team.
And just to further on that, if you look at the weighting, of the assessment criteria, it does give you a good indication, obviously, of the scoring around it. So noting, evaluation is only, whilst it's crucial to what we do, there is the opportunity to shape and mould that. So that's why it's not weighted as highly. Yeah. Other question up the back on the left?
Hi. So changing alcohol culture doesn't necessarily mean no drinking whatsoever.
Yep. So is that the whole question?
Well, I'm assuming that. If there was, say, a music performance, would there be a problem of alcohol sold at that, or would that'd be a good example of trying to get people to drink less with alcohol being available as it usually is?
Great question. So the question is, does alcohol culture change mean abstinence and no alcohol at all? So we're not saying don't drink at all. We're saying people can drink, but let's do it moderately. Okay, let's do it in a responsible way. So we're trying to move people from having the 5+ drinks in a single drinking occasion and get underneath the low risk drinking guidelines where we know risk of harm is lower. Yeah.
So just to add on, the question also asked, is there an issue if there are some settings or events where alcohol is consumed and sold? The answer is no, there's no issue with that. I'd suggest that if you have influence and power over that particular setting, a proposal that may seek to, as well as do some communications pieces or role model or ambassador pieces, if you're doing it in a setting where you have some influence, it'll be viewed favourably if there's also things that you can do around the setting to encourage responsible consumption. But if a setting involves where alcohol is consumed and sold, that's not an exclusion criteria. That's okay.
Another one at the back.
Just a quick practical question. I couldn't see if there's any reference to the timeline about the Latrobe's program logic. Like, when will we know actually what their frame is when it sits within?
Yep, so the question was around La Trobe University as the evaluation partner and when that information around indicators will be available. That's currently in development at the moment, and we do have a draft that's almost ready to roll. It does depend on what the projects will be somewhat, so it's a case of, suppose, of what comes first, the projects or the indicators. So we need to make sure that we have a suite of indicators that are relevant to each of the projects. Not all, indicators will be relevant, but we need to be able to measure, change across all the different projects. So it will be in the next few months that we have a more final draft version, but it's highly likely that this will remain a draft until we fully understand what each of the projects will be delivered in field.
So the first community practice, do you want to just say that we'd talk about it then?
Yeah, so to add on to that, our first community of practice will be in late June, and there'll be a high focus there on the actual evaluation framework and the indicators. So there will be support provided in a face-to-face forum. Any other questions? So we do have, if you do have further questions following on from today, you can shoot us an email to the address up on the screen. Either myself or Caroline will get back to you. We can do a phone conversation or liaise via email, whatever works best for you. If you've got concerns that your concept, or if you're questioning whether your concept aligns with our framework, get in touch with us. We're more than willing to talk with you over the phone about this. So please don't be shy. Thank you.